What made your sweet grandpa snap in front of the whole family? My grandpa Joe was everyone's favorite. 78 years old, still drove his beat-up 92 Ford pickup, still made pancakes every Sunday morning. 2 months after Grandma Rose died, we had my cousin's baby shower at his house. He insisted on hosting even though we all offered our places. My aunt brought her new boyfriend Marcus, some hotshot financial advisor from downtown. Designer suit, Rolex watch, kept checking his iPhone during cake time like he had somewhere more important to be. Marcus started lecturing about inheritance planning, how elderly people get taken advantage of by scammers, how families need to step in before it's too late to protect their assets. Elderly people make terrible financial decisions, he announced, cutting himself another slice of cake. Grief clouds their judgment completely. They give money to telemarketers, buy things they don't need, make emotional choices. Grandpa Joe was at the kitchen sink washing dishes. I saw his shoulders tense up, but he kept scrubbing that same plate. Marcus kept talking louder. That's why I always tell my clients' families, you need to take control early. Get power of attorney, set up supervised spending accounts. It's really for their own protection and peace of mind. He pointed his fork toward Grandpa Joe. No offense, Joe, but honestly, at your age, especially with your recent loss, you really shouldn't be making any major financial decisions alone anymore. The entire kitchen went dead silent. Even the babies stopped crying. Grandpa Joe turned around real slow. His hands were still dripping with dish soap and bubbles. Marcus, he said quietly, his voice steady as a rock. What exactly do you think I did yesterday? Marcus shrugged and smirked. I don't know, Joe. Watched some TV? Took a nap? I sold Rose's Honda Civic, got $12,000 for it. Then I drove myself to First National Bank and opened a college savings account for my great-granddaughter Emma. His voice was getting stronger with every word. Day before that, I spent 4 hours reorganizing my entire investment portfolio. Moved $50,000 from low-yield government bonds to index funds. Want to see the paperwork? It's right there on my desk. Marcus tried to interrupt, but Grandpa Joe wasn't finished. Last week, I went through every single piece of Rose's clothing, sorted it all myself, donated 3 garbage bags to the women's shelter downtown. Not because grief clouded my judgment, son, because I knew she'd want other women to feel beautiful wearing her things. He took a step closer to Marcus. You know what terrible financial decision I actually made today? I let a complete stranger into my home who thinks my 78 years of life experience somehow makes me stupid. The whole room was frozen. Nobody was breathing. I built this house with my own 2 hands in 1974, paid it off in exactly 15 years, raised 4 kids here, helped my neighbors through floods, divorces, cancer, job losses. His voice started cracking just a little. Rose and I saved every single penny for 53 years. We've got more money sitting in that bank than you'll probably see in your entire lifetime, Marcus. And we did it without one piece of advice from someone wearing a $300 tie. Marcus was turning bright red now. But here's what really gets under my skin about you, Marcus. You think losing the love of my life somehow made me weak and helpless. You're dead wrong about that. It made me dangerous. He grabbed the kitchen towel, dried his hands real slow. Because now I've got absolutely nothing left to lose in this world. And I've got 53 years worth of fight stored up inside me with nowhere to put it. Grandpa Joe walked straight to the front door and opened it wide. Thanks for coming to my granddaughter's baby shower. Now get out of my house and don't ever come back. After Marcus left with his tail between his legs, Grandpa Joe sat down at his old kitchen table, the exact same table where he and Grandma Rose drank coffee together every single morning for 47 years. He looked at all of us sitting there and just smiled. Anyone want to see how that college fund's doing? Emma's money is already earning 4.2% interest. That was 3 years ago. Grandpa Joe still drives that same pickup truck, still makes pancakes every Sunday morning, and he just bought his great-granddaughter Emma her very first car last month, paid cash.
When did the family who called you a monster come crawling back for help? After I inherited Grandpa's house, my whole family turned on me. Said I was selfish, greedy, didn't deserve it since I never visited him anyway. My cousins especially hated that I got the family home while they got nothing. They called me every name in the book. Monster was their favorite. Said I manipulated a dying old man, probably forged the will. At his funeral, my cousin Mike actually stood up during the service and said, some people prey on the elderly for money. Everyone in that chapel knew he meant me. Thanksgiving that year was absolutely brutal. They made me sit at the holdout kids table while the adults discussed how disappointed Grandpa would be with my selfish behavior. My Aunt Janet kept making passive-aggressive comments about how certain people weren't raised with proper family values. My own mother wouldn't even make eye contact with me during dinner. The house was a complete disaster when I inherited it. Pipes leaked disgusting brown water everywhere. The roof had holes you could throw a basketball through, and foundation cracks so wide I could stick my entire hand through them. The furnace hadn't worked properly in 5 years. Grandpa had been living with space heaters and bottled water, basically camping in his own home. I spent the next 2 years pouring every single cent I had into fixing that place. Took out 3 different loans, worked overtime constantly at my job, learned plumbing and electrical work from YouTube videos. My family mocked me at every opportunity they got, throwing good money after bad, they'd say whenever they drove past and saw me on the roof. Should have just sold it and split the cash like any decent person would do. Mike would post on Facebook about my money pit obsession. Janet told everyone at church I was having some kind of mental breakdown, wasting my life savings on a condemned house. Even my own brother stopped answering my calls because his wife said I was too depressing to be around anymore. The absolute worst part was when I had to skip my daughter's birthday party because I couldn't afford the $50 gift after paying for emergency plumbing that week. My sister made sure everyone knew exactly why I wasn't there. Sarah's too busy playing house with a dead man's junk to care about her living family members. 2 years, 4 months, and $83,000 later, I finally got the place completely livable. New roof, updated electrical system, working plumbing throughout, fresh paint in every single room. I was exhausted and completely broke, but genuinely proud of what I'd accomplished. Then the letters started coming. Official government letterhead from Midwest Mining Corporation. They wanted to discuss my property sitting above what they called a significant lithium deposit. The meeting was absolutely surreal. 3 people in expensive suits sitting in my freshly painted kitchen, spreading out detailed geological maps and survey results all over my table. Conservative estimate, the lead guy said while adjusting his glasses. We're looking at $12 million worth of extractable lithium. We'd like to offer $8 million upfront plus 15% royalties on everything we extract over the next 20 years. I just stared at that contract for 10 solid minutes, unable to believe the numbers I was seeing. Word travels incredibly fast in small towns, especially when mining company trucks start showing up on your street every day. My phone started ringing the very next morning. Mike, who hadn't spoken to me since the funeral. Hey Sarah, I've been meaning to call you for months. How are you doing? I heard some really interesting rumors about Grandpa's old place. Maybe we should grab coffee and catch up properly. Aunt Janet called an hour later. Sweetie, I've been feeling absolutely terrible about how we all treated you. Family should stick together through everything. I was wondering if we could sit down and talk about Grandpa's legacy and how we can all honor his memory together. And my brother was next. Look, I know we've had our differences, but blood is blood, right? Mom's been crying every night about how we pushed you away. We want to make things right. Also, is it true about some mining thing? Thursday night, my entire family showed up at my door completely unannounced. They were carrying flowers and takeout from my favorite restaurant. We've been absolutely horrible, my mother said with tears streaming down her face. We let jealousy make us rule. They sat in my living room, the same room they'd called worthless, suddenly praising how beautiful everything looked. Then Mike cleared his throat. Sarah, we've been talking about Grandpa's estate. We think there might have been oversights. Family property should benefit the whole family, right? I looked around at their whole faces, the same faces that called me a monster for 3 years. You're absolutely right, I said, standing up. Monsters don't deserve nice things. I showed them the mining contract, $12 million. But you taught me I'm not family. Monsters don't share. The contract was signed the next morning. $8 million hit my account a week later. None of them have called since.